This is really an old cow going down the mountain. Awesome. Why do you say such a sentence? It seems that only after watching today's video. To get a specific answer. Let's go together. Witness how a semi-trailer works step by step. Hand rubbed out. This is a private property in the white T-tile area. Hidden here is a car assembly plant. Not so much an assembly plant. It's more like a handmade workshop. It will be more appropriate. Some people also call it Bataille Group 3rd Automobile Manufacturing Plant. So these are the main girders for making semi-hangers. Look at the shape of the girder. It's a hand-rubbed girder. To be precise, this is also a kind of I-beam. But this kind of modeling factory does not provide. Instead, he rubbed it by hand. Now this is the first step in making a truck. You know, something from nothing, from 0 to 1. No matter what car you build. There are certain specific steps. No matter what type of truck. And they typically have 2 stringers. And there are beams. To form a whole. The frame is also made. And this semi is no exception. Here, the master worker first uses the carving car. Place the 2 beams in parallel. Fix with a horizontal scale at its corresponding position. In fact, this method and shipbuilding, the kind of keel used is also similar. There are similarities. After the subject is positioned, the next thing to do is to solder and fix the horizontal. At this point, continue to increase the measurement. Make a cart. It feels a little bit like building blocks. And this car, this is a carroca. So here it is, it's the bottom frame of a carroca. It's a plug at one end. Cost here. There are no sophisticated tools. The most commonly used is a tape measure and welding slightly higher end tools. You say a level. I don't see it here either. This material is also very thick. Looking at this situation, it looks a lot like a kind of ship dismantling. You know, the largest shipbreaking site in the world right now. Right here in Pakistan and Bangladesh. So some of the steel left over from the demolition, it can be repurposed here. This place is the location of the trailer hanging point. This is to make a fixed base plate. Meanwhile, the other side continues to operate. It took 20 days to make this trailer as a whole. And the number of people who work on it every day. Also around 10. As you can imagine. So that's a very big project. Sometimes they don't have enough people here. After all, a large part of them are all the same here. Several trailers are processed and produced at the same time. After the main frame is positioned, what I'm doing now is welding and fixing. And that's a lot of hard work. Usually 2 workers cooperate. It is now installed on the side. If you look closely, it's all manual participation. You're no longer needed here. Absolutely handmade. This uses a manual gourd to drag and drop. After positioning, electric welding can be fixed. Currently on a global scale. And only in Pakistan. Semi-trailers can be made purely by hand here. This is not to say that we don't have that anywhere else in the world. It's a semi made here. Can hit the road normally. Legal compliance. You can go through normal and legal procedures. The emergence of such a policy, in fact, it is also a tragedy for a country. It means that there is no local independent production capability. Heavy industrial vehicles are definitely not good in this regard. It's a last resort. Now start installing one quantity of the front of the trailer. You need to make a plug here to prevent the impact on the front of the car after pulling the goods and lifting the fork. To be honest, if it is fixed by direct welding like this, no whole grain goes down as a whole. It's safe and durable. At this point, start filling with iron sheet. This is also a whole sheet of iron. It has been stamped and cut in advance. After the assembly is in place, it can be welded and fixed. There's also a beam at the top for reinforcement. Make it a hole. This is a front end of a semi. 2 branches need to be installed here. This layout and domestic trailers are actually the same. No other special operations. It's all hand welded. So far. Hang up this crafting yet with the spill shell bolts. What about the bus? In fact, there are still many supporting manufacturers. To which step? There are special suppliers for distribution. This thing looks like a bracket at the back. Layout of balance shaft and leaf spring. The specific installation location is clearly marked. And it has to be installed symmetrically. This is no laughing matter. Once welded and fixed, the installation is misplaced. That's a big hassle. At the same time, the upper part of the girder is also in full swing. The worker uses these little tubes. And there's a little bit more fixing on top of the trolley. And fill in these big gaps. It is convenient to install the steel plate later. I personally feel on this side of Pakistan. In business terms. If you choose to sell welding electrodes, definitely can't go out of business, and there's a lot going on. After all, this thing is used too much locally. Take today's video. Just make a trailer. It is estimated that hundreds of caddies of welding electrodes will be required. More than that. And these, then, are the plates on the upper part of the trolley. These are all based on the size of the trailer. Cropped in advance. Notice that this place doesn't actually have a yard yet. It didn't even have a fence. There is no ceiling to block the sun. I guess this thing is not afraid of being stolen. After all, things are heavy. Sometimes it is inconvenient for 1 or 2 people to take it away. Sometimes you have to admire them. Work in this heavy industry. Not even a glove. And they're all wearing open-toe slippers. Security awareness can be said to be basically no. Welding steel plates actually takes a day. After all, the length of the body is also more than 10 meters. The overall area is still very large, and we make a movable opening here. It is convenient for later maintenance. At this point, the framework has taken shape. The welded steel plate is fully welded everywhere. The overall workmanship is still very acceptable. Why stay away from the big truck? You can see the strength of this girder and steel plate. Don't talk about SUVs. Even if it is a large truck of the same level. Suddenly, the car crashes and kills people. So no matter when, try to avoid the distance from the big truck. There must be no traffic accidents. If something goes wrong, that's an egg against a rock. This feels like a mud fender. It is installed directly on the rear of the vehicle, at both ends of the previously welded frame. It has arrived again at this time. These are all used together. These things are made by other manufacturers. Supporting process. Looks like a fixing plate. Yellow bracket. These are the reels for the rope. The old man on the left has a white beard. Turning the headscarf. 70 years old, definitely only does a lot, and wearing sunglasses. Very trendy. Still doing this work at such an advanced age. After all, it's a lot of work. And it's not easy to do. I really can't. I'm just here to help for 2 days, and you've been working here for months and years. Look at the uncle's method is also very skilled. Definitely a veteran. All the brackets have been installed at this moment. As the camera turns, this is the second day. A brand new day begins. We'll continue with the next work. Continue to organize the reel here. A group of several is directly welded together. It's cleverly designed. Mainly welded together is also to prevent loss. How about these things? It needs to be welded on both sides of the trailer as a fixed fulcrum for the later rope. While welding here, start installing the board yellow here. In fact, after taking this truck apart, the whole principle and structure are not complicated. If you look carefully, in fact, it is also hanging with the electric tricycle at home. Hanging is about the same. It's just that one is heavy and big. One is small and light. The board yellow is first installed at one end. The wall is very heavy. After fixing one end, use this gourd to continue to hoist. Install the other end. The whole process is done by hand, so installing this is not fast. The thing in the middle is the connecting frame. A board yellow connected to the left and right sides. Look at the thickness of this board yellow. I guess 110 King is just like this. Here, go ahead and install another one, and that's where the crowbar comes in. After all, it's so big and heavy, it will definitely not be installed without the help of tools. Install one end and continue to connect. Looking at this situation here, it should be a truck from Sanchiao. After all, there are 3 sets of board yellow installation positions. This is the case when it is finally installed. As time goes by, the semi-trailer body is also being installed in place little by little. The car has already been painted. The first is a spray of primer. Start shaving now. Putty to fill the uneven position of the paint surface. After all, it's trucks, not buses and cars. So there's no need to be too subtle here. It's a lot of work on the Pakistani side. It's a lot of people. But after all, leave specialize in. Each process is handled by a special person. So the details of the body are also very good. And finally, paint it again. This guy is also a very powerful person. It's spray paint, so you don't need to wear a mask. Next to it, there is an apprentice. Hands-on on-site teaching. No matter how big the smell is at the moment, you need to endure it. This is also something the apprentice cannot refuse. Finally, after the paint is sprayed, start to continue the recorded installation. Install the matching rear axle. Because the rear axle of the Karoka doesn't need to have driving force, you can think of it as a simple shaft. Tires are mounted on both ends of the shaft. What about the inside of the tire? Install the braking system. It's that simple. The bridge body is directly fixed to the lower part of the board yellow. It can be understood as a direct connection with them. The total weight of the body is pressed on the board yellow. The board yellow is pressed on the bridge body again. Install 2 riding bolts. The scientific name should be called U-bolt. It needs to be installed on both left and right sides, mainly to fix the bridge body and slab house. Prevent it from moving. This is the matching braking system. A bone brake. After the brakes hit, you need to start installing the wheels. This is the matching bearing. This scientific name should be called tapered roller bearing. It is a super wear-resistant heavy-duty bearing. Look at the way this maintenance wheel is done very well. Maintaining wheels is definitely a good idea. After the 1 yuan bearing is installed, install the brake pan. Install the bearing at the other end again. Start installing the retaining ring fixing device here. Bearings also need to be adjusted. The gap cannot be screwed too tightly. There can be no loose frames either, just right. A closer look revealed that no wheels were installed. Another wave of people. I feel like these are all professional. It should have been sent by another store for rescue. It can't be said to be a rescue, right? It can only be said to be an international relocation. The overall wheel estimate is not new either. Looks like a car dismantling part. The tire pattern is almost worn. In Pakistan, it feels like it can be used. As long as it wasn't bad at the time. In fact, this hand-rub truck is also. Most of them also use dismantling parts. As long as it works properly, it can create rupees. What you want here is cost performance. Not new, can't afford it. It's a more cost-effective restoration. This phrase is indeed very popular here. The color of the wheel hub. The combination with the whole car is also very good. Green soda. With an embellishment of various flowers. This is more representative of a local belief and culture. If you look closely, this dress is really uncomfortable to wear, especially on a rainy day like this. The rear butt curtain is directly placed on the ground. There was mud everywhere. What about this dress? It looks tired without trying it on. So far, this is a semi that was built in 20 days. Even if the complete gossip is done. The front of the car looks like it has been modified as well. Looks a little different from the usual trucks. It starts to connect with the trailer at this moment. The wheels of this car have been modified. It looks really beautiful. It feels like Mad Max. Adjust the position of the promise rack here. Start docking now. Pour directly back and card directly into the slot. Then lock the safety and it's okay. One step at a time. Perfect. Lock the mechanism here. You can pull it forward. The above is the bus iron hand rubbing half hanging. The entire process of the car. That's the end of today's video. Like video, like, comment, favorite, forward. You can also long press like to recommend the video full face. See you next time.